Hi, everybody. Welcome to the QB School. I am JT O'Sullivan. Today, we are doing the top 5 movie QBs. Fired up. Let's get it going. Welcome to the QB School. So the idea for this video came from my man, Doug Brady, at Coach Doug Brady, Twitter. I was asking for some ideas for YouTube videos for the channel. He comes back, top 5 movie QBs. Then he throws in, here's mine. Shane Falco, number 1, replacements. Adam Sandler, Paul Crewe, The Longest Yard, the newest version. Willie Beeman, number 3, Any Given Sunday. Sunshine, number 4. Number 5, Mox, Varsity Blues. All right, Doug, that's a pretty good list. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be some carryover, maybe go in a few different directions. I will stay right at the gate that I'm not a huge fan of The Longest Yard, either version, so that will not be on there. But I'm excited to see where this thing takes us. I had a lot of fun getting ready to make this. Got to go back and watch a number of these movies again just to see how they resonate and kind of age over the years. And I'm excited to dive into this. Before we get going with the top 5, we're going to do some honorable mentions. I'm going to hedge this. So honorable mentions right out the gate. The Rev and Sunshine. Now, this movie, Remember the Titans, not necessarily my favorite football movie for a few different reasons. A little too much Disney for me, but there are certainly some memorable scenes, specifically quarterback-wise here. I love the fact that Sunshine can't do the pitch, that Rev is kind of that team leader, brings people together. Kind of a bummer how he gets hurt with the whole clown offensive line, not blocking for him. That was rough to watch, but fun to see Sunshine laying some blocks as well in this one. These two together make this a really high quality quarterback movie for me as far as just the position, and so they get an honorable mention. Next up, honorable mention, everyone's favorite quarterback, Uncle Rico. If Coach would have put him in the fourth quarter, they probably win a state title. He's interested in time travel. He can throw it over the mountains. Obviously, there's a lot of Uncle Rico that I think resonates with a lot of people. Whether you played quarterback or not, you've probably picked up a football, tried to spin it, probably think you can throw it farther than you can. Maybe you don't go out there and film yourself throwing in the field, but there's some element of maybe thinking you're better than you are that Uncle Rico resonates with just about everybody who loves football. The next and final honorable mention is from the movie School Ties, David Green. He's a transfer, goes into this super rich prep school. There's a really cool cast of a lot of young actors that go on to have pretty impressive careers. It's fun to see some of these guys play the bad guy. Now, it gets a little heavy, not going to lie, as far as some of the anti-Semitic stuff going on. There's cheating, honor code, all those types of things. But just the pressure, what it must feel like to be a transfer, to come in there and try to win over a group of guys and how they go through it and all the kind of issues that go on in that kind of setting, to me, make this a really cool movie. It's a weird mix of being in the alpha, being the new kid in school. I probably resonated just because I was a new kid on so many different teams, what it's like to go in there and try to win over people. But the idea being that it gets heavy quick, but I think it is a cool kind of window lens into this weird world of scholastic sports, whether you're at a prep school, at a school. I went to an all-boys school where there's just some weird tension with different socioeconomic levels. And then, of course, you layer in the anti-Semitic non-secular stuff, and it all of a sudden gets real messy real quick, but it ends with a really cool line. And if you're interested in that one, check it out. It's definitely worth it. I really enjoy watching Brendan Fraser get after it quarterback-wise. School Ties. So now we are into the actual top 5 list. Right out the gate, we're going to go 5-1 here. Number 5 on the quarterback school top 5 movie QBs is Lance Harbor, Varsity Blues, Paul Walker. Love this character for a few different reasons. Certainly the story, the arc of Lance Harbor over the course of Varsity Blues, really cool, tough adversity, has an injury, comes back, becomes a coach, feel good story, whatever. Everybody loves the old hook and ladder signal. But really the reason he's on this list is because of the speech he gives at the prep rally, something to the effect of, was either having a nightmare or having a rough dream. We were only beating our rival by 14. The crowd goes, oh. He says, well, I woke up and I got happy because I knew we beat them by way more than 14. And I regurgitated that speech, or tried to regurgitate that speech, and hijack it in college at a homecoming rally. Pretty sure we lost the game. So it didn't necessarily work out, but had a fun time trying to reenact that thing. I really do think it is a cool part of that movie. That movie probably resonates with my generation more than most. But the idea being that, certainly the guy battled through some tough situations, was a true quarterback, whether super talented, dealing with the family issues, gets hurt, the whole coaching thing, influence thing. Really cool to see Lance Harbor and that character in Varsity Blues. Next up, number 4. Now, this one is going to be a little bit off the beaten track. Didn't see this on anybody's list, but this is just my list, so you're going to have to deal with it. Randall Pink Floyd, Dazed and Confused. Now, there's not a lot of football in Dazed and Confused. I love this movie. The whole weed thing, not necessarily my jam, but I still really, really enjoy this movie. This movie was probably the one that was constantly playing before we would go out during college in my younger days when that was the scene. The idea being you just throw it on. It's a great, gets the energy right. I personally love the football interactions within this movie. He really only throws something one time in the movie when he throws the pledge sheet, but you can tell he's got a little bit of form. He gets kind of accosted by an older couple at a baseball game talking about 13 starters coming back, 22 lettermen, looking good, looking real good, 2,000 yards this year passing. Then there are really cool scenes with the kind of weird, awkward high school coaches where the guy thinks his mom can run, a 4.5 40, and the whole head coach wearing the bike shorts comes up to him, tells him that he's, running with that wrong crowd or whatever, different crowd. The thing I really like about Pink in this movie, first of all, the movie is outstanding. There's great lines up and down the movie. But quarterback-wise, I think the thing that I always resonated with was the fact that he was someone that people just wanted to be around. They talk about him running with the wrong crowd or bad crowd. In reality, he runs with all the crowds. He runs with the cool kids. He runs with the jocks. He runs with the nerds. He runs with, the chess team. There's all sorts of different people that he's running with. He's running with the stoners. He's got going out with the partiers. He can go interact and intermix with all these different circles. And so I think there's an element of playing quarterback that if that's a skill set that you have, that is real transferable, that you can actually see with a lot of guys who do it at a really high level, that they do have the capacity to do that. It's not a barrier to entry, but it's just one of those things that I thought was really cool to see and be able to. Then the other part about that, football wise, for Pink, is the fact that the movie essentially ends with them on the football field talking about just living. They're going to a concert, all those types of things. He's going to play on his own terms. So I personally really love that movie. Love the fact that Pink was playing quarterback at the time. So Pink, Randall, Floyd, number 4. Next up, number 3, Steamin' Willie Beeman. Jamie Foxx, Any Given Sunday. Great character. Really fun to see the kind of story arc. First of all, that movie is pretty outstanding besides for the uniforms and the team names, but everything else is probably as close as you'll ever see movie-wise to what it's like at the highest levels. For me, Willie Beeman, there's a lot to kind of fall in love with as far as the story, the quarterback, the idea that, he's essentially, I think, the third string guy. He's reading the newspaper on the sideline when he gets his opportunity. He's in the huddle. He's barfing. He lines up under the guard. He can't say the play. He's audibly into plays that don't work. The thing I always thought that resonated with me with that movie, specifically quarterback-wise, was what, at least for me, anecdotally, when you're playing or when you're first out there after not playing for a while, it can feel really fast. And I think that movie does a great job of kind of switching lenses and angles to be able to show you from within the helmet to how fast things are moving, to the blurriness of what it's like to be out there. But it's fun to see him kind of battle through some issues and really be able to play the game the way that he wants to play, but also kind of come into his own as far as getting everybody going in the same direction, and the whole ending as far as being able to go up, get the touchdown, doing it your own way. Next up, number 2 here is another bit of a hedge. I'm not going to lie. Originally, I was going to go with Johnny Utah, Keanu Reeves' Point Break, the original. Went back after Coach Brady said that Shane Falco was his number 1 quarterback, and rewatched a lot of the replacements and remembered that it was a pretty great movie on a number of different levels. So we're going to go with just Keanu Reeves. Now, the thing about the replacements that I love is there are so many interwoven great messages, specifically quarterback-wise, that I think resonate with me, that make it kind of this deeper layer of a fun film. And the idea, certain things, whether it's the quicksand talk, where you're going in over your head, where you feel like you can't do anything right, you're just making things worse, or the fact that that whole movie is really about second chances, and it's not just about the quarterback's second chance, but it's about all those players' second chances. But really the thing that I loved about it was the very end of it, They've got to win the game. They've got to win their last game. The whole movie comes down to this. Gene Hackman, the coach, comes over to him. What's it going to be, Shane? I want the ball. And that mindset, that idea being that, hey, in the biggest moments, I want it in my hands as a quarterback, I think is a lot of truth to that. And that movie, like the next movie we'll talk about, does a great job of interweaving that into the really crucial game-winning moments, because football can be a lot of different things. Sports can be a lot of different things. But when you get down to it, it usually comes down to championship moments. And in those championship moments, you want your quarterback, you want your best player to be the one that wants the ball, that they want. It doesn't necessarily matter what the play is. It doesn't necessarily matter exactly what the down and distance, the situation is. You just want your best player to have the ball, and have a chance to go win the game. And I thought that movie, Falco, does a great job of doing that. Now, Johnny Utah, Keanu Reeves, the beach football scene. One of my favorite scenes in all of kind of movie football. You're on the beach, it's dark. All these dudes have crazy long hair. You've got the cars on the beach, on the sand with the lights to be able to play. They're going back and forth, scoring touchdowns. Johnny Utah is doing unbelievable ball fakes, hiding the ball, showing fake reverse dimes down the field versus Patrick Swayze. But then the absolute play that makes it for me, and probably the reason why I enjoyed this scene the most, is because I think Johnny Utah is like a former quarterback at Ohio State, hurt his knee. He's out there. They're going both ways. First of all, beach football is hard. Okay? This kind of reignited in the latest Top Gun movie where there's a beach football season. It's a little bit more pretty than necessarily the Point Break, in the dark, grimy, tough, look like they're really playing tackle football. But the idea being, Keanu Reeves is on defense. Johnny Utah's on defense. Patrick Swayze somehow gets the ball in the open field, maybe like a reverse pass or something. Johnny Utah, Keanu Reeves, goes through like 6 blockers. I don't even know if they're playing 6-on-6. He's shedding people. And he hawks down Patrick Swayze, tackles him into the ocean, into the water. One of my favorite plays, because I think on this channel I do talk a lot about effort on turnovers, interceptions. But the thing that I really love about that scene, that play, Johnny Utah quarterback-wise, is he's a football player. It's not just a quarterback. He throws it really nicely. He makes a good decision. He gets it out on time, precision, whatever. At the end of the day, I think one of the most important things to capture when you're trying to capture quarterbacking at the highest level is the fact that first and foremost, they are a football player. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily the toughest cat on the team all the time, but there's certainly a level of toughness, a level of intensity that's tough to replicate in any setting, whether it be real life football, practice, games. This idea being that you're a football player first and that you can go out there. And now, of course, you're probably not going to shed 5 blocks on the way to go make a tackle into the ocean. But I thought it was a really nice job of being able to show the full kind of scope of what it's like to play quarterback at the highest level, that these guys are really great athletes, and that Johnny Utah brings it home in that scene. Special. And finally, my number 1 movie quarterback of all time from The Program, Joe Kane. Again, probably dates me a little bit, tells me exactly, how old this old guy is. But the idea being that Joe Kane, the program, first of all, the program, the movie is outstanding. Now, it doesn't age quite as well as some of these others, but there are a lot of really cool, deeper undertones over the course of the movie that you're dealing with. But the things that I loved about Joe Kane, so why it's on here. It's on here, again, really for the final scene, kind of how it breaks down, and we'll talk about that. But what I love about it are kind of the idea being that the struggles that Joe Kane is going with. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the daddy issues that go over the course of the movie, but the daddy issues, we're drinking, there's motorcycles, we're making bad decisions. He's got to interweave kind of the leadership influence over the course of a whole bunch of different characters. I think the program does a really nice job of showing in football, kind of like any given Sunday, there are massive egos, massive characters on every team for good reason. And the quarterback who has the capacity to kind of get the best out of all those guys, get them all going in the same direction, is really a special trait. And so I think Joe Kane does a nice job of being able to do that, while you also see the realness of maybe struggling with a lot of hype, of struggling, kind of finding someone to go through it with him off the field. Those types of things that I think are just really show the authenticity of what it's like maybe at the highest level to be able to do that and deal with those types of pressure. Now, why is it on here specifically? There is an amazing scene at the end where it comes down to one final play. Coach says something to the effect of, "What are you thinking, Joe?" And he goes, "Just give me the goddamn ball." And that is the absolute truth. I already talked about it with Shane Falco, but I think this one, Joe Kane does an even better job of, it doesn't matter what the play is. He didn't say, "Hey, I want to go I right, Fox 2, X and Y hook." Just give me the goddamn ball. And that's what it comes down to. That's really, really what it's like. And I think when you capture moments like that over the course of any type of art form, it's really special, really cool, really fun. So then he goes back into the huddle and gives the whole, put the women and children to sleep. Let's go looking for goddamn dinner. That type of mindset, vibe, attitude. That's what it's like. Maybe not with the cornball, line about putting the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner. But that type of environment, that type of energy, that type of belief in each other and belief in yourself, I think really does a great job of capturing what the true essence of playing quarterback is like. And so, all right, that is a wrap. Top 5 movie quarterbacks from the quarterback school. One more time, see if I can go through it. Lance Harbor, Varsity Blues, number 5. Number 4, Randall Pink Floyd, Dazed and Confused. Number 3, Willie Beeman, Any Given Sunday. Number 2, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Utah, and Shane Falco. And then number 1, Joe Kane from the program. Had a lot of fun with this one. Let me know who you think I missed, who you'd put on your list. Feel free to leave the comment for this video or come at me at Twitter at the Quarterback School, and we can go back and forth on what your list looks like. I certainly had fun putting this thing together. Thank you so much for hanging to the end. I will see you next time. Have a good one.